Turn around, what's that?
Don't turn around, 'cause you're gonna see my heart breaking. Don't turn around. I don't want you seeing me cry. Just walk away. Just tell me right where you're leaving. I'm letting you go. But I won't tell you no. Okay, honestly, I just gotta say, I can't believe I held that together with you ruining it and just being so terrible. I can't believe that you would disgrace Ace of Base in such a manner. I'm really disappointed that out of the two of us, you're supposed to be the singer, and that was deplorable.
You know, all songs growing up, I make my own words to because I never know the lyrics. And literally, I just sing random sounds. And then hearing it back in the microphone, I was like, oh no.
It was
And but then I learn the lyrics when you sing them. I'm like, oh,
yeah,
okay,
but you're after me because you're singing the wrong ones, and I'm trying to fight through your ridiculousness to get to like my place. And anyway.
I love Ace of Base though.
Honestly,
you should put that on.
On what?
Like the
Spotify. Oh, on like our reel?
Just. When I was trying to find music to listen to, because like my teenage self was coming out yesterday, like when I'm preteen, and I was listening to Backstreet Boys, and then I played Aqua. I was like, "Fuck, is that what they sang?"
It was bad.
And then like I'm sexual, and I was like, I still went quiet singing that because I'm like, that doesn't feel right.
Yeah, but let's get back to Ace of Base. Ace of Base, I always felt was ahead of their time. Number one,
yeah,
you know what I mean, and number two, I don't think they sold their souls.
I think yes, I agree. That's like a lot of
just like
Leona Lewis. She didn't sell her soul. I think there's a lot of really incredible artists that didn't sell their soul, and once they got into the music industry, really learned fast that that's not what they want to partake in, because it's a lot of Satanism. Anyways,
you look good today. You look nice.
You like my Goodwill T-shirt? I like this shirt.
You like my Facebook Marketplace $25 brand new Levi's trucker jacket?
I feel like you have one just like that.
I do, but this is a different one. This is like a nice one.
This
is my nice one.
Going
the other
out
my chore jacket. Oh. Right? You can't wear the same jacket I service a cow in. I can't wear that here. You know what I mean?
Service a cow in.
That sounded quite technical, didn't it?
Yeah.
I'd like a reel of that, please.
Okay, welcome back.
If you survived the last episode, I'm still feeling
like we have so much more to discuss.
There's so much more to discuss.
Yeah.
But that's for another time and another place and down the road, and we'll come back to that. But there's so much more to discuss.
And today is also another pretty big conversation. Another kind of could be a heated topic for a lot, because this is maybe these are conversations that make people really uncomfortable. And it's a necessary conversation because it's around our life and our ability to live and our ability to die. And this is around the MAiD program, the medically assisted medical assistance in dying program in Canada. This is something that we can't also just ignore or escape from, because I'm hearing of it more and more and more of so many people knowing somebody who's applied for MAiD for a number of reasons. Yeah. So this is a big conversation, and I'm just preface it with the disclaimer that this conversation is really just coming from our hearts only, from our own worldview, from our own lens of how we see the world, and from our own belief systems and our heart views, right? So this conversation can be challenging, it can be triggering, and it can also be eye-opening, and it can perspective changing. But if you aren't aware of anything around MAiD, this is maybe a good introduction to what's happening in our society right now, and more specifically in Canada. And if you're in Ontario, you're going to hear more of the Ontario things that are taking place.
I think there's a lot of people that are aware of it, but they're not aware of it. Like they know that something's going on, but they don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
And so this is going to be a really good episode for people to hopefully connect some dots, because what you're probably thinking MAiD is and what MAiD is and where it's going is crazy.
Or what it was before, and looking at things also from, again, I take the spiritual approach to all things because that's how I view the world, from more of the shamanic lens now. Is this bringing...
No, I actually just have something.
Oh, I thought it was like, are we getting emotional already?
No,
Oh,
not
okay.
yet. I don't know if I'm going to get emotional here, but maybe.
Who knows where this will take us, because it's also the conversation around death is also just can be taboo. It can be really uncomfortable for a lot of people, but the reality is we all die, and we're also all born again in different ways, and elements of us die. Our animals die, our plants die, everything dies. We all die. And getting comfortable with that conversation so that it's actually come back into part of our culture and our sacredness of life and crossing over. We've lost that in our society, and it's now becoming, quote unquote, a procedure.
I think that's a really good point.
So the medicalization of dying versus the sacredness of death are completely two different perspectives on approaching the topic. From the spiritual, from the soul lens to heartbeat to no heartbeat, kind of like, medical and suffering kind of approach. So let's get into this a little bit more to give maybe people some context, because context is really helpful about what's going on. The reason why we're also having this conversation is because as of March 17th, 2024, so however many days away that is,
A few weeks.
the Canadian government has approved MAiD for those with mental health diagnoses.
Now, that's already a lot to unpack, but I'm going to go a step further and just mention that the next step is children as young as 12. So for those of you that say, you're fucking retarded, I'm not fucking retarded. You're fucking retarded. We said this when we brought MAiD in, that people like me said this is going to be a slippery slope, and it's going to start to include people that shouldn't be able to make these types of decisions. And people said, that's not true.
No, it is true,
And
because
guess what? It is fucking true.
the federal government, again, is trying to bring this all the way down to babies. They're trying to get this MAiD. They're trying to bring euthanasia all the way down through children to babies. This is a very, very slippery slope that we're on. And this conversation is deeply involves our ethics and our moral compass.
People aren't even going to get that because, like, I don't want to stir the pot here. So please, like, if you've had an abortion, that's your deal. Please don't take offense to this. But when Jen just said they're going to bring this down to babies, and y'all went like, okay, guess what? Like, sorry, but have you ever heard of an abortion? Because, sorry, but that's sort of like what that is. And in Canada, we are so liberal that, you know what? And I'm not prepared to have this conversation, so I'm not going to talk about stats because I haven't looked at this in a little while. But we do allow fairly late-term abortions here. And I don't know how people can think that, like, look, there's a lot of circumstances that we're not going to get into right now, but the fact that people could think that there's so many women that argue for abortion out there, and I was one of them.
Yep, me too.
I was one of them in my past, even though I actually never did. I never felt right about it, but being a feminist all those years, I sucked up what I felt was right for the purpose of being a feminist and saying it's my right, my choice, a woman's body, even though I really, honestly, 100% never really felt comfortable with it, and the proof is in the pudding. I have a a child to prove that, because that's not something that I ever was wanting, was a child. So if I had have thought it was so great and amazing, I would have had an abortion. But that was something that I could never do. Horrible thing. And so you sit there and say, oh, well, it's going to be brought to babies and people are going to say, oh my God. But guess what? They can take a baby that's almost full term and abort it. Like, and a lot of you people out there have no fucking idea what that looks like, because you've never taken the time to research it. I don't know what you think it looks like. I don't know, like, people are so fucking
how
retarded.
traumatic that
no,
is.
for the woman too. But I don't think I think people out there don't even, they're so retarded and they're so brainwashed that they're misconceptualizing what a baby looks like inside. It's like, oh, it's inside the womb, it's not real. Do you understand that? They think it like looks like a pile of mush on day, 312, and then all of a sudden it comes out the next day and it forms a baby. It's like it looked like that inside, bro. Like, what are you talking about? No, it's so fucked, because I looked into having an abortion. So, like, I know the traumatizing effect it had on me personally. And you know what? There's not a lot of women that will talk about that, but there have been women that have come to me and said, because I do voice my opinion on abortion and how I don't agree with it. And there have been women that have come to me and said, I had an abortion because they sold me on having that abortion. And I never, ever felt right after having that abortion.
I hear that all the time.
Okay, well,
I hear that with so many women that have kept that, like, this hidden shameful
interesting
experience, and they're decades later are still trying to come to terms with forgiving themselves for that decision.
Interesting. See, now that should be that should be a movement, is women that have done these things. And it's like no different than, we didn't even fucking talk about detransitioners, but that's going to be a whole episode in its own. But it's the same thing. It's these women that have had abortions that don't speak to what the experience is like, and then the aftermath, 20, 30, 40, they don't forget.
Yeah.
They carry this with them forever.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So so going back to MAiD, because the conversation around death, it's all encompassing around the conversation of death, right? And things that are a slippery slope in our ethics as a society. So the MAiD criteria has been changing over the last few years under the Trudeau government. The MAiD criteria has been changing, and they made the amendments under the criminal code to allow it. So the initial criteria for MAiD with a patient had to meet all 4 criteria.
First, 4. Wow.
Yeah, so
that's a lot.
This is pre the changes that are coming. Okay. So the first one is they had to have a serious illness or disability. They had to have all these things. Okay. Serious illness or disability, an advanced state of decline that could not be reversed. Okay. Experiencing unbearable physical or mental suffering. And number 4, when natural death was reasonably foreseeable. So a good example of this would be somebody with ALS.
Yeah.
Or far stages of dementia.
Okay. Now, the ALS and dementia, I want to talk about that. And then can we talk about that?
Sure.
Okay. Okay, so I've seen somebody with ALS, not close, but in clinical setting, and real tough one, real sad, real tough one. Okay, would not want to be in somebody's shoes. Dementia, that's one that strikes me as quite, because I did listen to a quite extensive podcast with a doctor who sort of is in the middle of MAiD, like sort of can advocate for it in certain circumstances, but really understands the slippery slope that is attached to it. Okay? So she can kind of comprehend the ALS situation to a degree, but then she personally knows of a situation where someone with dementia in an earlier time in their life said that if they got to this place, they wanted to have MAiD. And when they decided, the physicians decided they were at that place, the man said he didn't want it. He said he didn't want to die. And they killed him anyway. And so this is where she said, and that might have been the UK, but this is where she said this is why it's such a slippery slope, because how can you truly know that he's not able to make that decision? How can you know he is able to make that decision under such circumstances? So it's such a tricky...
Or is it family influence because they see, dementia is a tough one too. Anybody whose family member or loved one is experiencing tremendous pain and dis-ease or dementia, and they're no longer the same person that they know them to be. How much influence can come from family that's witnessing that, because that's also their trauma and their grief.
Yes.
I mean, it's complicated, 100%. Right? Like it's definitely complicated and complex, and that's not my issue. My concern is that we are on a very, very dangerous path, a very slippery slope where we've lost this sacredness of honoring life and death itself. And that the government's recourse for navigating the mental health turmoil that our society is in is offering death as the option.
Right.
Because this is where we're going right now. As a society, this is what we're saying is acceptable.
Right. Especially in certain circumstances. Like the female military veteran who is like in her 50s, and she's been fighting the government for years to get proper ramps built in her home so that she can have an accessible home because she's in a chair.
Yeah.
The government has refused to fund her rehabilitation, but what they did offer her was MAiD.
She just wanted a ramp built.
She just wanted some help.
And federal, what was it? The Veterans Affairs. It was the Veterans Affairs offered her MAiD after several years of asking for a ramp to be made for wheelchair access. Veterans Affairs offered MAiD instead of building a wheelchair ramp at her home. And this was December of 2022. Her name was Christine Guthrie.
Wow. This is our government. We will give you crack cocaine. We will give you fentanyl, heroin. We will kill you. We will have you killed. We will not build a ramp for a veteran who is in a wheelchair.
Who is of service to the nation.
Like, are they hoping the homeless people choose MAiD so they don't have
They've
to
offered it.
deal with
Okay,
that?
there's another example. I don't know if you have it, but there was another gentleman who...
He went vocal about that.
Yes, he was an older gentleman.
Yeah.
He was living in some kind of assisted or like sharing a room with someone, okay? But his government allowance was like under $700, I think. And the room is prices have just gone through the roof, but they haven't increased any of the cost of living checks that go out to some of these disabled people. So he was either going to be homeless or... Well, that was his option. He didn't have a house anymore. So they offered him MAiD. They said, we can offer you MAiD. And he actually was choosing it because he said he had no option. He was either going to be homeless or commit suicide. And he didn't want to live on the streets. He'd never been homeless.
This is not how we care for our society. This is not okay. I'm just going to say that's not okay. This is not
okay.
a viable option because we can't afford homes here.
We can send billions of dollars to the Ukraine, but we can't give, we can't move with the inflation for these guys on disability that...
Or even Ontario Works, I think...
$490, I think.
No, it's like for somebody who applies on their own, single adult, it's around $800, okay, a month. Mm-hmm. That doesn't cover the cost of living today.
No.
How much does, on average, Jess, because this is your business, on average, how much does it cost for a one-bedroom rental on average.
Okay. If you don't want to live in squalors, you're looking at easy 1,500. And if you're okay with living in an area that's not amazing, you could maybe get one for 1,000 or just under 1,000.
And that's like 2 hours away from Toronto.
Yep.
And
Yep.
like obviously it gets
Yeah, that's
worse
in London,
as-
Ontario.
That's in London, and that
Yeah.
would be like, a 1-bedroom shithole, like 900, 950.
Yep.
Like a shithole. Like the days of a $700 basement apartment in London do not exist. Those $700 ones from 2012, 13, 14, 15, I'm now renting them for 12. The ones that were $750, the shitholes, they're now 1,200 basements.
Wow.
Well, we have a complete inflation problem. Cost of living is people can't afford to live here anymore. Our own citizens can't afford to live here anymore. And the option that we're offering people is to die. Is to we'll help you die.
But
This is
but why
backwards.
though? Is there an answer to why? Does it have anything to do with organs?
Well, that's okay. Let's come back to that because
Okay.
that's a whole other conversation. Okay, because that's going down like a whole other.
Yeah, like a rabbit hole.
You're going to go down a rabbit hole which people are not ready to hear yet. So let's just give them more context.
Buckle up, babies.
Okay. So we have that 4 criteria. What you would have to meet in order to originally get approved for MAiD. Okay, which in that instance, I get for somebody. ALS is the best example, and it's what you hear the most of. Like if you were asked anybody, like if I was diagnosed with ALS, I'd probably apply for MAiD because it. Okay, that's the one example I hear of. Clinician, like that's what. Okay, because that. Yeah,
And sorry if I may, that might also be the same as someone like me who's pro-life. If someone was pregnant and the child in utero suffered some kind of, and again, I also don't believe that God makes a mistake. Okay, but there are instances where there's crazy deformities or whatever the case might be that might cause the mother death. Those are different. Those are like the most extreme circumstances where medical intervention may be necessary. Maybe not. I'm just saying. I'm not like adverse to.
No. But that's part of the conversation. In shamanism, from the shamanic lens, every soul's journey is also like can also want those hard experiences, right? And so that's also something that we have to honor.
It's very hard, but
we also come in wanting certain experiences, certain challenges so that we can learn and grow. That's how our soul evolves, is through those lived experiences. I also believe, again, from the shamanic lens, that all illness, all dis-ease is created by us. So it's emotional manifestations in the physical body that have not gone through healing. So I do believe that mental health, all mental diagnoses, disorders stem from some root cause. And I believe, again, in shamanism, because we're born perfect, we are born from divine light, that there's always a way that we can help that soul with their healing journey. And I think what in our Western culture, we look at things from the diagnostic lens, from the lens of pathology, medicalization, and again, doctors go to school to study medicine. They don't go to school to study wellness, right? And so the shaman looks at the lens from all aspects of their spiritual, mental, and physical and emotional body. So I think that, again, and if I were to get my one book from Louise Hay, she also describes how all physical dis-ease is an emotional manifestation. And I see that in my practice. I see that for myself in my own journey. I see that everywhere. So this whole
if you're doing the work, you might see that.
But if you're stuck in a victim state of owning the label that you were given you're going to allow that also to become the manifestation of your life. That's going to guide
Right.
you
You are
with
your
where
disease.
you are.
You are sick.
Yes.
You are dying.
Yes.
And good luck surviving and being a healthy individual when your mindset every day is, I'm sick and dying. I
Yes.
am this
Yeah.
disease.
You're also attracting that because you're creating it too. Those are the laws of the universe. So, okay. So let me go back now. March 2021. Okay. Bill C7 lifted the criterion that natural death was reasonably foreseeable. So the fourth criteria to get approved for MAiD, they've taken out. So death does not have to be within a reasonable future for that patient.
That's crazy. That is crazy. That is crazy. But that's suicide.
It's well, yes. This is euthanasia. This is suicide.
I know,
yeah.
but again, I have. It's hard to be black and white on everything. It really is. As like conservative as I've become, I'm still a liberal at heart, which is like, do you. And I get that we've come a long way in our journeys and we know better than I was asked, I wanted to experience that in life, so I have to go through it, right? We understand that. But I still lean a little bit towards like, if you're a grown adult and you want to cut your breasts off and live as a man, again, don't make me play along and stay the fuck out of my little boy's change room, lady and sir, for the vice versa. But I still lean towards that's your journey.
Right.
You know what I mean? But
I was gonna say, because they've taken that out, and because like MAiD is done by a medical person, wouldn't that be
murder?
like murder?
It's medical murder. Absolutely. Like, yes.
Suicide is done by your own hand, so it's not done by This is
done by
That's
someone
why they
else.
took it out of the criminal code.
right.
They have to take that out of the criminal code to allow it.
Yes. And that's why people right now that might be like, what the fuck are these retards talking about? Yeah. When we get to the fucking organ harvesting part, that's where it gets fucking really interesting. Mm-hmm. Because you have to be sitting there asking yourselves right now, why? Why are they allowing a perfectly, like someone who's not imminently dying,
Right.
it's like, again, why are we allowing abortions for perfectly healthy women and babies? Just because you fucking fucked up doesn't mean that baby has to be sacrificed for your mistake.
And if someone's really not happy with their life, if they want to commit suicide, they will. But having go down like the MAiD road, that's like extending it, or like they're being forced down this tunnel.
It's almost encouraging it. Like this is where the slippery slope piece comes in, is that at what point do we honor life? At what point do we say, your life is so sacred, let's help you reconnect to what you're struggling with to get you to this point of despair?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. But can I also say something? That don't you think, I know for a fact, because I know that when I was really sick, that I had some moments of like, man, I don't even think I should be here anymore.
Yeah.
And I think one of the hard things was like, I know that there's people that actually get to a point where they plan their suicide and they know what they're going to do. Yeah. I have to say gratefully that I've never been to the place where I'm like, this is how I'm going to do it. Mm-hmm. And that's that. But I know a lot of the people that get to that point have a hard time pulling the trigger, no pun intended. And if they're able to just say, you know what? I don't have to fucking do it. I don't have to pull the trigger.
Somebody else will pull it.
Somebody else will fucking pull it for me.
And it's now okay.
And it's okay. And guess what? Then I'm gonna be like a good guy. You know what I mean,
it's okay
right?
now. It's okay. It's
I'll get
socially
attention.
Acceptable. Yeah.
But they're dead. Like it's so
and I can say
fucked.
all my goodbyes to everybody, and then right. Yeah. And this is. Go ahead.
No, it's just crazy.
It's just it's crazy.
Yeah.
So they take out Bill C7.
Oh God, this is fucked.
In 2021. So again, the Trudeau government takes out reasonably foreseeable from the criteria. Early in 2023, so last year, the federal government's Special Joint Committee on MAiD reported on the proposal to expand euthanasia. And so March 2024, to Canadians the sole condition of a mental disorder. So our Canadian government continues to create this slippery slope of what's they say is right or wrong, and offering this as an option to somebody who has, say, depression or suicidal ideation as the only reason for. So now here's the problem: is that anybody who's struggling, they call their family doctor. The doctor can approve them for MAiD because actually I have some good examples of this. Okay, so just to give you guys some ideas of how far in direction we've gone, how far in one direction we've gone. Ontario Family Doctor advised that this young man calls in, and his family doctor says, I'm struggling because he's lost his job, lost his girlfriend, right? He's got what we would call it in the clinical world acute depression because it's short term, because it's from a certain situation, right?
Okay.
That he can get approved for MAiD because he's over 18 and he has an OHIP card and he's experiencing suffering that cannot be remediated or treated in some way that's acceptable to him. This is where a psychotherapist would come in and say, you're going through something really, really hard. How can I support you? Let's build some resiliency. Let's get you back to a sense of feeling, a sense of purpose and belonging in this world. Instead of the family doctor being like, yeah, you're approved to die.
Crazy.
It's absurd that every single hardship now that young people have to go through, they're going to be offered suicide.
Well,
We'd all be dead.
That's the government. They make mental health worse, and then they're giving you a solution.
Yeah.
To it. Like,
I'm telling you right now that when China invades, we're so fucked. I watched a video yesterday of the U.S. military that people in the U.S. military were posting, and you being former military is amazing to speak to this. They were saying how the military don't care about your feelings, even if you got to sew back, they making you do your runs, and I mean, it was just crazy that there was these scrawny light girls with red hair, and they were they expect us to go days without sleep, and I couldn't they don't pay us enough. I can't believe that we're doing this for this kind of money. It was crazy. Yeah. And I'm thinking, we are so screwed. Think about the 90s, what a military
and
man
kids
would
in
look
China are knowing how to take apart a AK-47 and then clean it up and put it back together in
blindfolded,
blindly,
yeah. In grade 3.
Yeah,
and our grade 3s are
in the military.
Am I a girl or a boy?
You can be whatever you want, Johnny. Or is it?
It's so crazy,
Selma,
guys.
that's what you said the last episode. Selma. Okay. Anyway, let's come back to MAiD for a sec. Okay, so they take out, last year they take out, 2021, reasonably foreseeable death gets taken out. 2 years later, the federal government puts in a special joint committee specifically on MAiD research in order to help move this program along. And so now March 17th coming up, MAiD will include those with mental disorders.
Which is everybody.
Which is everybody, because think of the number of disorders that we've developed over the past even 2 decades. I watched this one video of a guy talking from another country, and he goes, you're too fat, there's a diagnosis. You're too skinny, there's diagnosis, right? If you're too lazy, diagnosis. If you're too energetic, diagnosis. You remember seeing that?
Yeah.
And I was like, it's so true. If you're in any of the extremes, you're diagnosed with something.
Yep.
And that in the mental health world is actually you're out of your window of tolerance of functioning, which is what we work on bringing you back into tolerating stress. Because when you're outside of your window of tolerance, you can be considered like manic or hypomanic or hypomanic, which is like a depressed state, or hypermanic, which is like hyperarousal, anxious, right? So that's all actually called self-regulation. Is what we're looking at in psychotherapy, working on managing stress.
Wow.
We just have a society of very unwell people that don't know how to regulate themselves, and we're encouraging their erratic behavior.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So, okay, couple of examples of how we're seeing this kind of play out in our society now, and the people that have been outspoken about this. Besides the Paralympian that you had mentioned, who was also a vet from the vet that didn't get approved for wheelchair access to her home, the CEO of the Mississauga Food Bank, Megan Nichols, said that people are coming in asking about MAiD for help ending their lives, not because they are sick, but because they can't afford to eat.
Okay, sorry to say this. I hate to always be like my grandma and butt in. 1 in 20 people in Toronto is using the food bank right now.
Yeah. And who do we have to thank for that? The government.
Yeah.
And
JT,
this is
baby.
their solution. Like,
But I'm just saying, like,
Yeah.
1 in 20.
Yeah.
I think that's,
Oh, no. You know what? Justin Trudeau did bring back what was it, a food voucher?
$400 for families of 4 or more. Of 4 or more.
Of their own tax dollars.
$400. Do you know what people spend $400 on a fucking one grocery cart?
People can't afford to eat. People can't afford to keep their hydro. People can't afford their own house. And the solution is not to kill them. The solution is that we need to create a more sustainable environment where people can actually live and thrive and can afford to grow, and then become taxpayers, to become part of the system instead of being reliant on all these extra things. But they can't, like, it's like the glass ceiling effect. Like, you can't, you're blocking people from being able to move up. You're literally hand tying everybody.
Yep.
So it's, the solution is not is to off people. We need to get back down to, okay, what's actually being remediated? Like, how are we helping people from the grassroots level if all of our services are being inundated with mental health crisis right now, right? Fire, ambulance, police officers, the hospitals. The emergency room is filled with homeless. It's filled with mental health crises, right? Like, and you only get admitted if you say, I'm actively going to kill myself. That's the only way that you're going to get admitted. And somebody spoke out about their sibling being hospitalized for suicidal ideation and applied for MAiD while in the hospital, saying that they had, something to do with their eyesight, and got approved, I believe, and until the family intervened. Hearing loss. Alan Nichols applied for MAiD, citing hearing loss, as his medical condition while in the hospital for suicidal ideation.
That's crazy.
Right?
That's crazy.
So while you're in the hospital for suicidal ideation, you can apply to the MAiD program, which is, well, I won't kill myself, but I want the doctor to kill me.
And your family only by chance luckily finds out about you being in the hospital. Otherwise, they'd be happy to do it without their consent.
So here's the other part. In nursing homes, okay, I have someone that I know that's a death doula, and also a combination with PSW, which is a beautiful combination of supporting people in the death process. Has seen in Ontario that a young man applied for MAiD 9-10 a.m. in the morning, was dead by 7 p.m.
No way.
One doctor came in. Staff didn't even know this was going on. Staff weren't aware of this, and he was dead by 7 p.m., which means, and it was treated as a procedure. But now we got room. There's a bed now available for the next person.
Oh,
That's
and
like,
what happened to, was he an organ donor?
okay, do you want to go down that track now?
No.
No, we can't.
I
as
just
well.
want to keep making the comments so people are on the edge of their seats.
This is where the slippery slope is that people aren't seeing. And if we're in a mental health crisis, and especially for the young adults of the world, especially in our society, because depression, anxiety, self-harm, eating disorders, bipolar, like personality stuff, like these disorders, these diagnoses are through the roof. ADD, ADHD.
Do you guys understand that I'm just going to speak from like London area because that's where I was based my whole life, is like, and my dad worked in this area of expertise, so I'm aware of it. The LPH and the St. Thomas Psych operated fully until late 2000s. Okay, like of course, they were cutting and cutting and cutting for years. Okay, for years. But don't you fucking people see the correlation between all of a sudden? I keep forgetting how old I am now, but 15 years later, look at this. Don't you see how before there was places for these guys? Places where they could go and get well, where they were taken care of and treated with respect and dignity. They didn't live on the fucking streets. We didn't addict them, get them addicted to drugs. They were cared for, helped if they could be. And if not, yeah, they were fucking kept in an institution away from my fucking kid and away from your fucking kids and away from their fucking kids.
And now anybody that is struggling with mental health, that is struggling with addiction, and now homelessness, because they generally go together, are on the streets and breaking into places. And like we were downtown London yesterday and we were trying to protect our daughter walking down the street to go buy her grad dress.
Guys, when I was fucking 13, 14, I took the Hamilton Road bus downtown all the fucking time with my friend, Jackie Ross. What's up? Okay? And downtown was sketchy, no doubt. But like, we were there all the time and nothing ever happened. Like, we never saw stuff like we see. Like, you always saw guys buying drugs and shit and whatever. But like, it was like weed and alcohol. And they weren't gonna like kill you, like stab you with a fucking shank or something like that. It wasn't like that. There was bums and like whatever. This is scary. The guy that we saw, I was glad we were with Avelin's dad, and I was glad he was with us.
Yeah, like I wanted to walk behind him. Like I was genuinely concerned walking down the street.
I was happy
midday.
Like I was like, good, I'm glad he's here.
Yeah. So this is where like every city, I'm sure everybody can recognize that we're seeing a huge increase in mental health issues, addiction issues, homelessness. It's impacting us everywhere in our country, and we're having tent cities pop up all over the place too. So the answer is not let's kill everybody, because then we've again lost any ethical boundaries. We've lost our moral compass with that.
Yeah.
We're waiting till the things have gotten so progressed to the point of like it's harder to remediate. Not impossible.
No.
But hard to remediate because it takes resources. But if we give it all like decades of time to let it worsen, 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 that's even more of a strain on all of our resources and taxpayer dollars.
It's insane. Yo, the LPH used to have like gardens and I was in that. That was my original business. They used to have recreation programs. There was stuff like those guys had a chance. Like there was a lot of, there was like those
like rehab.
Yeah. They had a lot of stuff for people with mental illness, and there was a lot of like funding. Not a lot. There's never a lot of funding, but there was stuff. And then over the years, I just saw it.
The funding in the public arena has definitely changed, because when I first started at Children's Aid Society, fresh out of school, it was a while ago. Anyways, when I
2006, 8, 10,
12,
jeez.
2012.
Oh boy,
I gra-
she's a lot younger than me.
Yeah, 2012. Okay, so in 2012, when
When I'm 60, she's gonna divorce me. She's gonna find a younger,
right,
hotter version
you're gonna be a hot crone woman.
with saggy tits and a fucking with a saggy jowl.
Stop calling it a jowl. Gross. What was I fucking talking about? You've taken me off.
Sorry, LPH money.
When I first started at Children's Aid, there was more funding for because I was part of the addictions team. So we were actually doing more community outreach and like bringing clients in to help them learn more about addiction and to help like inform them and offer like community counseling type of work, like intervention. Like now there's all that funding went away.
Interesting.
There's no funding. And if you think about there's no counseling, psychotherapy, it's not covered under OHIP,
Of course not, but MAiD is.
but MAiD is. Your
Crack is.
referral, like when you were in the car accident, you had a traumatic head injury, your referral to the head injury program, we got in a year and a half after, only after we had somebody get us in that we knew connected to the program.
Yeah. And then guess what they offered me when I finally did get in? Are you ready? Painkillers, drugs. That's what they offered.
And
me.
because we challenged the doctor on that, he didn't offer us any other supports.
Nothing. I don't know that he was ever. I don't know that he was anyway.
I don't.
But
no, because
I mean-
he had it. He was shut down. You could
that's
just read
all.
it. He was shut down after we said, "What else can you offer us?" A year and a half later, when we've done all of our own research and all of our own rehab and found a whole network of health providers that are head injury trauma informed that can support you. What can you offer us now? Anyways, so all like programs in the hospital setting, that's a dying industry. That whole system is so broken on its own. Like the sick care system, it's a sick care system. To get a referral to a psychiatrist, like good luck. You're better off going to Emerge to get a crisis call, to get in with a psychiatrist for a crisis call, rather than a referral through your family doctor. You're going to get in faster to get antipsychotics. So the programs, in order to get any sort of referral to any sort of specialist, we're looking at months to years. Okay. And in community counseling is it's not free counseling. It's like funded, where they get grants from like United Way. Okay. And so they get reduced rate counseling. Okay. And there's 2 in London that does this. And they have to meet certain criteria in order to get approved for the reduced rate counseling. And the wait time fluctuates, obviously, for all counseling. Even just privatized counseling, there's wait times for a lot of counselors. But in community counseling, you're looking at months to get it.
if not more.
Right? So are we really spending our money that we send to the government, that is spending it on programs that are not to help people from the root level? Okay, I'm going to use an example because I've been thinking about this because this whole conversation brings a lot up for me. Especially studying shamanism too and understanding more of the soul. So, let me give you an example of how our society is doing things backwards. Say a child is born into a family, it could be, let's say, heterosexual parents that are just both struggling with their own issues. So we have intergenerational trauma layered in. So dad maybe struggles with anger, mom struggles with self-esteem, parents get into conflicts here and there, especially in front of the child. So the child's exposed to maybe a bit more domestic violence in the home. Parents can't work out their issues, later get divorced. child experiences traumatic event of parents separating, now delegating between two different homes. The child is not emotionally supported during this time and starts to isolate, starts to withdraw because the child is not learning how to self-regulate and emotionally process what he or she's experiencing. And so things start to happen for this child. This is trauma that goes unresolved. Child maybe has a hard time focusing. Child starts to struggle with sleep and nightmares. Child starts to have difficulties coping with stressful situations. Child shuts down when somebody starts to yell. Child starts to learn to self-punish or self-sabotage because the child wasn't learned any ways to show compassion or self-love because mom's got significant insecurity, self-esteem related issues, and not teaching the child how to cope. So this child grows up, goes into teenage years. This continues to manifest because that's what it does. It doesn't just go away. It just manifests, which means it worsens. So now child loses social skills in high school, is maybe experiencing bullying, maybe starts to skip class because it's high anxiety now because he can't cope, because he can't manage stress well. So now starts to drop out of class, starts having romantic partners maybe that are unhealthy, abusive, controlling, maybe is becoming more provocative because that's how this child's starting to get their needs met of feeling loved or desired. So child now is maybe in high school diagnosed with ADD, anxiety. Again, more issues continue to pile because child's not resolving any of these things. Nobody's supporting this child with resolving these things, but parents say, well, let's take this child to the doctor where we get a diagnosis, ADD. Oh, finally, things make sense now. Okay, well, now we'll put the child on medication. Okay, now can he function in class? Yeah, I can sit in class, but does that resolve any of the issues? No, but I can sit in class now.
Yeah.
Which, again, we're going to manifest. We're going to pile on years of manifesting into these diagnoses. Now we're a young adult, struggling to function in society. Anxiety is higher, has got social anxiety, struggling to maintain a job because can't time manage well, can't get clothes cleaned and get their meals organized. So there's just a lot of chaos in their home environment. And so what happens? Maybe can't keep the job, transiency, withdrawing from regular relationships. Another diagnosis added in. We got depression now because loss of direction, feeling confused about who they are, where they fit in this world, loss of sense of purpose and belonging, more isolation compounds, can't hold a job maybe, but maybe somebody along the way helps you get onto ODSP because you can't maintain a job, you're struggling to cope, you can't work, your social anxiety is too bad that you can't leave your home. You now got the diagnosis of agoraphobia.
Now she has a baby and the cycle continues.
And now you can't afford your groceries, you can't afford your rent. Okay? So see how this is what happens to so many people. But the social worker at the school that has to take on working at 6 different schools and see that one child to help educate them around how to move through their emotions is only at that school for an hour this week to see that kid. In the month. Or in the, let's be honest,
what I mean,
right?
Like for real, like I didn't, like what? There's a school social worker?
Right?
Where?
Hospital social workers. Like where, so there is a huge systemic problem here. Mm-hmm. This is a huge systemic problem. And we're focusing on allocating our money, our tax dollars to resources that don't always make a lot of sense. Not to mention paying for our prime minister's flights all over the place.
Can you imagine the amount of money that it costs for a gender affirming surgery that's covered by tax dollars than what it would cost to send that kid to see a social worker, 1 hour a week for 6 months? One hour every other week for 6 months? Can you imagine the difference in cost? Like 70, 80, 100, $120,000 for these surgeries, if not more. I mean, I don't even know.
If you had counseling available to all of our society, you would be preventing so many problems from occurring.
And if the counselors weren't woke, because that's the other problem.
Well, if they were trauma informed.
Is then you have these counselors out there that I hear of, horror stories, where, you go to see somebody and they're affirming these kids in one visit and they're on puberty blockers. Now, those aren't counselors, those are doctors, but...
Well, and they're not doing a psychosocial history on this child to understand the origins of how they got to that decision. Right? That's not trauma-informed
No.
Medical intervention.
No.
Even though medical doctors are supposed to be trauma-informed under the standards that the model practice standard for medical assistance in dying for doctors and nurse practitioners, they have to be able to be trauma-informed. That doesn't mean that they're doing a psychosocial history, which is what clinicians like social workers complete. So when I was doing my practicum at the first episode psychosis program in London, when somebody comes in under mental health, they go through a social history. And we bring in the family to interview as well, to get a full scope of what's going on, to get a bigger picture in order to guide the best practice, intervention practice for that patient.
Interesting. So not just taking that one person's word for something, that getting the other input of everybody else.
Yeah, you bring in their support systems, and you look at their support systems. We are as humans, we are social beings.
But that kid who got MAiD in the home, or the guy that got MAiD in the home, that doctor didn't call his family.
No, family doesn't have to be notified.
That's crazy.
But here's an interesting fact for the duties for doctors under these standards. So a doctor or nurse practitioner must take reasonable steps to ensure that person is informed of the full range of treatment options available to relieve their suffering, which means if an 18-year-old goes into their doctor's office and says, remember my example, okay, I'm struggling with depression, that doctor is now liable under their scope of practice to have to inform that 18-year-old that you have the option of antidepressants, or you could apply to MAiD.
So fucked up. Not like, yo, bro, have you ever looked at a fucking barbell before? Have you ever seen a gym? Go to the gym. Go find some alpha males and go follow what they do. Ask them if you can fucking be their towel boy.
But they can't even refer this 18-year-old to counseling because can that 18-year-old afford counseling?
No.
Can that 18-year-old get themselves to counseling? Are they working?
No.
Do they have a car?
No. No, but if there was a counselor at school that wasn't pushing the LGBTQ agenda, then they maybe could just realize, oh, my parents are a bit fucked up and they don't know how to manage themselves, which means I don't know how to manage myself.
I don't have any coping skills. I don't know how to manage this. Yeah.
So I'm going to learn how to manage myself, and then hopefully I make it.
Does Jess wanna go down the rabbit hole now?
Are you ready, or do you still have more?
Yeah. Go ahead.
Let's do it.
Oh, I want you've got the info on it. Go ahead.
Well, no, I have a bunch of other actual reflections on the MAiD program specifically. I'll just say a couple of things, okay?
Go ahead.
Number one, we've lost the sacredness of life and we've lost the sacredness of death. And that death is also a rite of passage for the soul's journey. And there are death doulas that can also be supporting people on their death process if they're closer to death especially with illness or in the nursing homes, that we also have lost our guidance with the connection to the cycles of life and death. Again, this is a very slippery slope of ethics. Doctors also have to refer if a client comes in, a patient comes in to a family doctor and says, I want to die, I want to apply to MAiD, and that doctor goes, look, I think that there's other options that would be more viable for you. There's other ways that you can manage this, that doesn't have to be the way. If that doctor doesn't think that it's appropriate for that patient, that doctor is still liable to have to refer that patient to another doctor who is. Okay, that's in their standards of practice. And that family doctor that said no also has to keep that patient on their roster. They have to keep them as a patient. They can't dismiss them as a patient because they have differing views of their treatment.
It's fucked up.
Doctors' hands are tied. Yeah. This is a huge ethical and moral dilemma that we're in. And similar to COVID, for the doctors who disagreed with the COVID vaccine, any doctor who's going to disagree with honoring somebody's request for MAiD, they're going to come into issues with their license.
Absolutely.
Wow.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, just a couple thoughts. COVID desensitized a lot of us. The COVID era desensitized a lot of people around ethics and around the sacredness of life. When you heard people say, or doctors saying, or hospital staff saying, well, we had to choose who lives and who dies today. We're already segregating our society around this. And there's couple of Canadians that had been outspoken about that chose not to get vaccinated, who applied for an organ transplant, who were going through medical problems at the time, and they were denied an organ transplant.
There was an old woman in Alberta, too. Remember that old lady in Alberta, and then that young guy in Ontario here. Beautiful father of beautiful.
He died at 35, leaving 5 kids behind. And at the time, and he was a Sudbury man.
Yeah.
And because he needed a kidney transplant, he was denied it because he didn't get vaccinated. But then the doctor at the hospital called him up to say, will you be willing to donate your organs?
Nope.
And I'll leave that with you now to go down.
So just a few statistics. Okay. So between now, I wish I had the 2023 numbers handy. So if you find them, you let me know. But I'm going to give you 2016 to 2021. Over 31,000 people opted for MAiD. And that was a 32.4% annual increase. Okay? Yes. Yep. Okay. So that's crazy. And then the thing about the organ harvesting is that Canada has become one of the world leaders in organ donations, and there's a lot of money to be made.
And they're proud.
Very, 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 very proud of it. And there's a lot of money to be made in organ harvesting, but the money does not go back to the family of the people that harvest the organs for. It goes right back to the government. So, I mean, people don't understand how much money is being made by doing these MAiD #procedures. Okay? So, that's a really fucked up thing. That's super fucking crazy. And this is just there's like, people don't want to know this, but there's black market there's a lot of shit going on with organ harvesting.
There's a lot of shady shit that was also, I mean, I read it about happening in China. People were disappearing for, and
see, kind of like, in my opinion, the Epstein and everything is true. But in my opinion, it's a kind of a cover up for what's really going on, which is trafficking but for organ harvesting. Here's the thing, is that yes, like trafficking, you can make money because unfortunately people can keep being used over and over again, right? But organs can go for a lot more money. Like on the black market in China, businessmen that are billionaires that need a new liver pay a lot of money. And I mean, they don't even have to pay a lot of money, but sometimes they want good quality and stuff. They pay extra. But it's a really, really hard topic to talk about.
But it's a reality that we're experiencing in this world.
But and when your government is like, again, why? Why? Like, why are you pushing people that are really like just mentally ill to kill themselves? Why? Well, see here. We can take their organs. You have a lot of organs that we can donate, that we can use. And when we put organs in you, we charge you a lot of money. A lot of money. And you know where that money goes? Back into our pockets. Not back to the family whose organs you donated. That's free. They gave that. I profit off of all of that. It doesn't even have to be black market. That's the thing that's fucked up. That's why they're making it legal. It's really like I mean, if you have anything to add to that, please feel free.
This feels kind of satanic. Like
it's 100%
this has so
satanic.
much dark energy.
But does MAiD have good energy?
No.
When you hear anybody talk about MAiD, does it make you feel warm and fuzzy inside?
No.
It's just like, listen, let's face it. When someone talks about abortion, whether you're fucking pro or not, does it? Let's be honest. Does it feel good? If I said like, hey, so-and-so had an abortion yesterday, would you be like, fucking right, baby? No. No matter what happens, you'd be like, oh, that poor girl. Like your heart aches for her. It aches for the baby, the dad, who probably didn't have a say.
Yep.
It's very, very tough. So that's the thing. That's where you have to think, like, does that feel good or does that feel bad? It doesn't feel
good.
Obviously. That gets me emotional. Now I'm emotional because that really gets me emotional.
Well, this is a really significant discussion, and for anybody who can't even listen to this conversation or that has a hard time holding space for this, I think it's just showing how we also avoid so much in our society around hard things. And it's again, our tolerance to pain, our tolerance to discomfort. We continue to look for the easy button. We continue to look for to look for pleasure than pain. We tend to want that magic pill to help us instead of doing the work.
Mm-hmm. That is a really great way to put that. This next generation does not want pain, and we've allowed them to completely numb themselves. People in our generation and our parents' generation have been so numb since about the 90s, I'd say. People have been numbing themselves increasingly since the 90s. And it's so obvious with even like we've had the conversation before about tattoos and numbing cream. Mm-hmm. We see, kids wanting tattoos and piercings, but with numbing. And I'm saying, no, if you want to have the piercing now and the tattoo down the road, fine, but you're going to fucking feel it. That's part of it. You don't get to have that fucking piercing or that ink and just have it. Just like I'm very proud of not having an epidural, having a natural childbirth. I fucking went through that. I felt it. I did it. And you know what? I don't put down other women that didn't. I'm just saying that it's always possible to be done without the medication. People just don't believe that they can do it. And it's fucking here. It's all here. You just have to fucking, you just have to tap into it. And that's why I know, like, people think I don't know, sometimes I'm far out, but we have fucking so much power.
We have so much power as humans. 100%.
So much power.
We've been programmed not to trust ourselves. We've been programmed to not recognize the value of our own life. We've been programmed to not think that we've been programmed not to believe in our own abilities.
And to be scared of ourselves.
And to be scared of ourselves. Right? Just like every feeling in our body doesn't have to be a terrifying symptom of something. Like learning your body, learning to master your body is also learning how you build trust in your body. And we have outsourced our own inner knowledge and our own wisdom of our own body to rely on somebody outside of us to tell us whether or not we're okay or whether or not we need something.
Yeah.
Right? Every time we do that, we disempower our own abilities and become dependent on something outside of us. And when we numb, when we avoid, we don't learn our capabilities. We just learn a really unhealthy way of dealing with things. And our society is almost encouraging that with alcoholism.
Not almost. Openly.
It is. Openly. Says,
Openly
our
encouraging
government
it.
encouraged that during
Openly
COVID.
encourages it.
You know, just drink
No
more.
gym.
Yeah.
No outside walks,
Yeah.
no basketball, no playground.
Yeah.
Alcohol, drugs, solitude
Isolation.
is the name of the game.
Which, what happened? Mental health went straight up, right?
And the MAiD went up.
And the MAiD went up. We have
Bro, it's fucked up.
we have a government right now that is not doing what is in the best interest of its citizens, which is offering actual solutions to help people, like real solutions to get to the grassroots. Like I'd have to pull up the study, but there's proof that even a meditation program in the prison system brought down recidivism by 90%, like something drastic. And the number of reoffenders went down tenfold. So but why aren't we investing in things that are actually helpful, like social workers in the school system?
Yes, and
Counseling under OHIP.
not stopping to tear down all of our old mental health institutions, and we need that. We need to reinstate our psychiatric programs in this country. We need to reform our jail / prison and our mental health and psychiatric care.
Yeah.
There needs to be institutions. There were institutions for a reason. I, as a woman, a biological woman, do not want to be in vulnerable situations, particularly now that we allow anyone to identify as anything in my space, privately or publicly. Those people need to be safe and being cared for and helped.
There is way more, it makes way more sense to help people at the beginning phases of struggles rather than offering death as the solution decades later, after they have drained all of the resources of all of our systems, the medical system, our financial system,
Right.
community outreach system. Like it's all, so we're going to allow all that without any more intervention, without any more financial aid. I personally, this is just showing me that the Canadian government does not love its people.
No.
And it's the federal government is not showing how there is not the care and the actual value of life and what they're offering as viable solutions, but that they are creating a very slippery slope for loss of ethics. And all of our episodes, there's a connect the dots because they're all actually connected. Like there is a higher agenda, a darker force that's present in this world, that the more that you awaken to yourself and you'll see through the veil of between the dark and the light in this world. And this episode is really just to highlight how we're moving through some of the shadows in this world right now.
Another dot. Are you connecting them yet? Do you see the pattern?
Do you see what's going on yet? Because there's a higher agenda at play right now, and it's up to us as citizens and humans to decipher what we will and will not tolerate in this world. But that it takes each and every one of us to understand what is truth and what is not.
And when you see it, will you start to talk about it more openly?
Will you?
I mean, I think so, because I get a lot more people talking that I don't think are talking before.
I think, Jess is, I always call her Patch Adams, because whenever we go into the community, it's like she can spark up a conversation with anybody and go right into big conversations. And I love that about you, because you get people, like, when they're around you, they just say, like, this is like what I'm thinking, and this is but I can't say that because I'm going to get like, I don't think I'm allowed to say that. Is that politically correct? Or I don't want to offend anybody. Like, people are scared to even speak. Again, huge red flag. Again, COVID era taught us a lot about that people are very afraid to speak their truth, right? Which blocks their throat chakra, so their energy can't move freely.
Yeah.
So people have either learned to suppress their own light out of fear of being judged by others, or you came out of that with like a whole new warrior side of you that realized what you're capable of in this world.
Or you were already uncancelable from the beginning. doing it all your life, just being told,
Well, yeah.
Shut up, don't talk so much. Keep your opinions to yourself. We don't talk about that. We don't talk about religion, politics, or money. We don't talk about the three most important things. Well, emotions should have been in there, but anyway, what do you think? Do you have anything else that...
Okay, one final thought. Dr. K. Sonu Gayand, I don't think I'm saying his name right, I'm sorry, Chief of Psychiatry at Sunnybrook Health Sciences Center, that's in Toronto, and he's the former president of the Canadian Psychiatric Society. He said that the Trudeau government has dismissed his concern over no real scientific way to distinguish types of suicidal ideation. He declared that we now provide MAiD to more people than any other country on the planet.
Yep. That's true.
That's a red flag. That is a huge red flag that there is something significantly wrong in our Western culture, where our Canadian government is encouraging.
Can you look up and see if you can find a number, which I should have had, on what's like the government's profit or income from organ?
That'd be an interesting stat to get. We are the Canada is the sixth leading cause of, MAiD is the sixth leading cause of death in Canada.
It's so funny. No one wants to talk about that or died suddenly, just like random young people dropping dead for no good reason.
All the suicide prevention work, all the that, we're actually, for opening this to mental health, we're saying it's okay to die. It's affirmative care. It's affirmative care. Oh, yeah, you're depressed. You have suicidal thoughts. Yeah,
just do it.
Have you thought about MAiD?
Off yourself, bro.
The government will pay for that.
Yeah.
I can't find any monetary. No.
Yeah, well.
Anyways,
to be continued.
These are hard conversations today, but these are more realistic, or these are conversations that are coming up more frequently, where I'm hearing, somebody's got a diagnosis, early diagnosis, and is applying for MAiD so that they don't have to later feel this symptoms of later onset of their symptoms.
Which is like fucked, because that's like you know, I've read a lot of people that can totally recover if you do believe that illness is a manifestation of people and people's energy and their darkness and their baggage and whatnot. Then it's interesting to me because what's she? Oh, she's looking for her book.
Sorry, I wanted to look up Louise Hay's reasoning for, I love her work, ALS, because ALS is the one major, maybe it's under Lou Gehrig's disease. The one, like when I talk to anybody about it, it's like they always go back to, well, if I would apply for MAiD if I had Lou Gehrig's disease. So let me read you what Louise Hay says the emotional manifestation is for ALS. Okay. So she says the emotional manifestation for ALS is the unwillingness to accept self-worth. It's the denial of your own success. Our birthright is to be well, is wellness and success. That's our birthright. Yeah. And if you deny that within your own self, if you deny your own success, you are literally killing yourself. That's this is on the soul level. So she's saying that it is an unwillingness to accept self-worth. To know that you're worthy of being here. And so your body feels that and it starts to kill itself.
It's pretty fucked. It's pretty fucked up. But see, like, that's where it's like, I'm not trying to be a dick, but it's just like, you know, having an epidural. It's just taking the easy way out. It's just not having to go through the pain. It's very simple. It's like putting diamond cream on before you tattoo. You don't have to go through the pain. Well, why would I go through the pain? Because, man, that's part of it, yo. You got to feel that shit. You got to feel everything. You have to go through everything to love yourself. Like, you have to experience it. You have
to have full self-love. This is a journey of loving all parts of us. Mm-hmm. Like, I'll like lay in bed at night and be like, thank you, lungs. Thank you, stomach. Thank you, ovaries. Thank you, uterus. Thank you, toes. Like, loving every part, every single part of me that makes me whole. Mm-hmm. We're not teaching that to recognize that every single one of us is important.
Yeah. And that doesn't mean that Lizzo should be on the cover of Sports Illustrated, though. Like, we can love ourselves. Like, look, I've had like a few comments on social media of me being like fat and grotesque, and it's really funny because I'm not fat. I'm like 130 pounds on a good day. And, but like I have like a mom like stomach. Like, I had a baby, and it's like, yo, I had a baby. You know what I mean? Like, it's so fucked how people are so, but like, I don't,
people project, right?
But I shouldn't be on,
Yeah.
but there's a billion other hot chicks that should be on the cover of the former Sports Illustrated magazine than me. Do you know what I'm saying though? It's like, it's okay to like love myself, but like know that, like, you know what I mean? Anyways, you know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
Without being a dick.
Yeah.
But whatever.
Anyways, this conversation is pretty big. It's pretty intense, and it takes into bigger considerations too around the sacredness of life and our own humanity and the soul's journey through all of this. And so again, from the shamanic lens, I don't actually agree with MAiD at all. To be fully honest with you, because I do think it's possible to heal, and I think that life is sacred. All life is sacred, and pain is also okay. Pain is our greatest teacher. That's where we learn, is through pain. But I do think that's going to really trigger people, and Triggering's okay. That's where our healing is. So I encourage, if you get triggered by any of our conversations, to just sit with it and just keep asking yourself, why did that upset me? Because that is where, that's how we become better people, is when we can sit with it rather than project right away. Because I don't like what you said, that upset me. So I'm gonna project now onto you. Just sit with whatever's uncomfortable for you to hear, and just keep asking yourself, why is that hard?
Like yesterday when you were like, why
Oh,
won't you apologize to me? Like, why? But like inside I know, and I'm like kind of like my shadow is like laughing. Like it's kind of bad because sometimes anyways, I'm kind of like, fuck her. Like,
well, because whenever you want to like go back to old coping, default coping is like, fuck you, it's right. It's defensive. I'm protecting myself, and I'm not fucking apologizing. Fuck you, right? It's a teenager inside.
totally. But then I can recognize that.
That it's okay. You can have compassion for yourself, knowing that you're not a bad person, and that we make mistakes, or that we say things that we don't always mean when we're in the heat of the moment, and that you can take ownership. And right, and that's the evolution of learning how to also to be an adult and to hold space for yourself and know that you are still worthy of being here, even though you might have you're just righting a wrong. Anyways, I appreciated you apologizing. I don't know what time we're at. We're over. Yeah, okay. Well, it's our own podcast, and we like how long it is. So
Yeah, if it's too long for you, go fuck yourself. If it's too long for you, then you probably are maybe doing like a 9 to 5 thing, and you really secretly deep down know you don't want to do that anymore. And it's holding you back from being able to listen to our podcast all day long while you do your own thing, like create and whatever. So I hope you do that.
thanks for listening. If you listened to this episode all the way to the end, thank you. Thank you for being here. We really, really appreciate you.